just in. The US is broke. That's right. They can't agree to a budget. Not only that, but for the first time, the US citizens are applying for refugee visas to Australia.
American citizens are increasingly turning to Australia, with dozens applying for asylum.
Currently, as of yesterday, there are 23 applicants, and that number is doubling each day. I've never thought in my life I would actually hear that Americans are becoming refugees.
Our ancestors gave up everything to come to America, and we're going to be the generation that gives up everything to leave America. I know I'm not speaking for everybody, but I know a large percentage of people right now are at least exploring the idea of leaving America because it's just not working out for them here anymore. Over just the past 5 or so years, my prospects of building a future here have just completely diminished. With inflation and the massive rise in cost of living, there is zero hope for saving any money. I keep a budget down to the penny, and when I tell you that if I have $17 left over at the end of the month in the green, that's a good month. And I live super frugally. I look for deals at the grocery store. I haven't bought name brand in so long. It is so rare that I even buy clothes that aren't the bare essentials. I just don't feel like that's how life is supposed to be. And this is not what we were all promised. Now, this isn't just a USA problem. I think this is a worldwide problem. I think this is more of a capitalism problem than it is a USA problem. However, I feel like we're just too far gone here, and I want to try something different, as well as many other people. My girlfriend and I are moving abroad, and we don't think it's going to solve all of our problems. In fact, it's probably going to create new problems that we wouldn't even have known existed before moving abroad. It's okay to romanticize a little bit, but we understand this is going to be a big change. The way I see it, it's either stay here and live in a constant state of permanent, tolerable unhappiness, or move abroad, try something new. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't, but I'll never know unless we try. And at the end of the day, that's really all we can do. And that's just try for a better life. And for some people like me, that means leaving the country and moving abroad. I would love to hear what everyone else is doing. Are you staying put? Are you going abroad? Let me know.
My husband and I were sitting on the porch this morning and we were just discussing the culture in the United States and how there's always this undercurrent of violence and hostility, and it's everywhere all the time, and you feel very vulnerable to it. And sometimes you don't really even know you're feeling it, but it's there. And I asked him, when you go to a movie theater, do you assess who's in the room and who might be a threat and who might be hiding something in their coat, and what you would do if they just stood up and started shooting? How are you going to get out of the room? How are you going to get our boys safe? And he's like, yeah, I do. And I said, I do too. We never talked about that openly. And we both agreed, we do it all the time. We're at the grocery store, at a concert, at church, at our kids' school. What if who among these people is a threat? And what would we do if they stood up and started to do something? How would we get out of here? How would we protect our kids and ourselves? That is always in our minds. And I don't think we realize the mental toll and the physical toll that takes on us to always be doing those mental calculations. And then not only that, but the culture in the US is such that you're always feeling like someone is trying to get one over on you or use you somehow. There's always this sense of you're competing. You're not helping each other. You're not supporting each other. You're competing with each other. And that person he's your enemy. He's your neighbor, but he's also your enemy. You try to make sure that he doesn't mow on your side of the lawn too much, because that's yours. That's your property. He's trying to take it from you. There's this sense of it's real selfishness and self-centeredness, and gotta get mine and keep mine and not let anyone else take mine. And I'm really looking forward not to feel that all the time. I don't think we realize that we're feeling it. We're not conscious of it all the time, but I really want to not feel it, And I want to raise my sons not to think that way or have those sort of feelings or have to do those calculations in their head about how am I going to get out of this without getting shot. That's what I want. So that's why I am taking my 2 sons, who are 7 and 9, and my husband and myself to the other side of the world to get away from this place.
Americans are leaving. They're leaving this country in record numbers. But the amount of Americans that want to leave, that's got to be a new record in itself. 63% of Gen Z want to leave the United States. Their main reason being there is no economic future here. Okay, 68% of people in this country say that they are surviving rather than living. 52% of millennials also want to leave the United States. While Gen X and boomers want to stay put, only 25 and 26% of them respectively have any interest in leaving the United States. And while yes, there is a huge gap of people who want to leave and people who can leave and people who end up actually leaving, this is worrying, right? Who's going to be left in the country if all the young people want to go somewhere else? Where do these people want to go, you might ask? Well, the top 5 countries that they want to move to are Canada, the UK, Australia, France, and Italy. There is a tidal wave of people that want to leave this country. And I can't say that I blame them. Life here is hard. I'm not saying it's a bed of roses anywhere else, but here it just feels impossible. We're moving abroad next year and we can't be more excited.
Okay, just so you know, you can't even leave if you want to. Even if you have all of your documents and your paperwork, I've called every single immigration lawyer around, like where I live, and they've told me that they only help with people who are trying to get into the United States, not with people who are trying to leave. So now I have to do more research to figure out which embassies to call and what type of lawyer I need to get all of my documents switched over. They're making it hard on purpose, just so you know. Fuck it, we're still gonna evolve.
I don't know why no one's talking about this, but there is a mass exodus of U.S. citizens from the United States. Look, I'm a real estate agent in Costa Rica. I help foreigners move abroad, move to Costa Rica, and make a life here. I've been getting a ton of stories from clients who are absolutely spent. I'm working with a psychiatrist who helps teenagers. And when I asked her why she wants to move to Costa Rica, she said, it's because I have lost all hope. My patients have lost hope. And what's worse is I have lost hope too. And how can I possibly be of service to someone else if I don't believe it's not going to get any better? So what she is doing is saving herself, packing up her bags, and moving abroad. This is where we are.
U.S. is much more of a playground for rich people.
Okay.
But in China, it's more freedoms for common man.
How long have you been in China?
Now I'm going on my 2.5 years now.
Where are you from?
I'm from the United States.
So do you find that China is the same as you imagine?
No, because in the U.S. we have a very different opinion normally. We have our own kind of media that shows us how China is going to be like. And so when I came, it was actually very different. When I was very young, I would take world history courses, and we actually almost never learned anything about China. We learned some small parts, like about the oracle bones and the origin of Chinese scripture. But most of what they taught us, I feel almost was a little purposefully boring. No student wants to learn about writing language and the origins of a written language, you know? They would prefer to learn stuff about like Sangguo Yanyi and stuff like that. But and we never learned about Sangguo Yanyi. We never learned about the Chinese classics. We only learned about specific areas. Yeah.
So what about your feeling after you come to China?
Oh well, now I live in China, so I must like it, or else I wouldn't be living here. This is a very different idea of what we think of when we think of China, because we think of it as this place that has a lot of strict controls on freedom. But I think it's more just different ideas of what freedom is. And I think in China it's more free for average people than in the US. Yeah.
You mean that in US is conditional?
Yeah, maybe in China, rich people don't enjoy the same freedoms in the US. US is much more of a playground for rich people.
Okay.
But in China, it's more freedoms for common man. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Americans are finding peace in other countries. Why is it that we are learning to really love on ourselves? We are really learning what it feels like to have peace, to have freedom, to really unconditionally show ourselves the self-love that we deserve. Why is it that we have to leave and go outside of America to have access to quality health care, to have access to doctors that actually care about our health? Why is it that we have to leave America to actually get healthier? Why is it? Why is it that we can leave America? No one asks us about our credit. Why is it that we have to leave America to feel safe? Why is it? Why is it that so many Americans are thriving outside of the United States? And we don't have that type of thriving activity inside of the United States. Why is it that we have to leave America to have a sense of peace? Why is that? Can anybody answer me that question? Because inquiring minds want to know. Why is it that we can move outside of America and have a better life? Why is it that we can move outside of America and have the peace that surpasses even our own understanding? Why is that? Why is it that we can leave America and have true freedom and be seen for who we are? Why is it that when we move outside of America, we can be our true, authentic self? We can slow down and really enjoy life, eat great food that's not filled with all this stuff. Why is it? Why is it that we don't prioritize our mental health, but we can do it so easily outside of the United States? Why is it that my children haven't had to experience what it feels like for pow violence to be in their school? Why is it that I have not had to have the conversation with my Black boys about how they need to protect themselves because they are Black boys? Why is it that I haven't had nobody run up in my house and I moved to another country because they say I don't belong in that home? Why is that? Why is it that we can prioritize self-care and love on ourselves first, which in turns makes us love everyone else around us better? Why is that? Why is it that I actually can make it in another country? That I don't have to live paycheck to paycheck, that I actually can save, I can pay off a little bills, little student loans? Why is it that I can actually plan for my family's future, for my children's future, and I can actually breathe? My equilibrium can breathe. Why is that? Why is it that life outside of the United States is so much better?
How has your life improved since Donald Trump has gotten to office? I'm asking MAGA. I'm asking the far right. I'm asking conservatives. I'm asking white Christian nationalists. How has your life improved? What policies, and please don't mention the border. Please don't mention the border. What policies has this man put in place that has improved your life personally? That is the question I have to ask. And then once you answer that question, I want you to answer this question. How has Donald Trump attacked the less than 1% of transgender people in this country? How has that personally affected your life? How has it made your life better? And then I want you to answer this question. How has Donald Trump attacking immigrants in this country improved your life? What has improved in your life, your personal life, inside of your house? Has it changed your bills? Has it increased your pay? Has your health care improved? Has your retirement plan improved? Are you getting things built in your city better? Is food cheaper? Is gas cheaper? These are the questions I really want y'all to answer. Because if nothing has gotten better, why did you vote for him? Take the time. Answer the question.
We've heard different reasons why Americans are deciding to leave the country, but there's something that I wanted to mention right here. I'm glad that there's nothing external that is causing this. And yeah, I'm kind of realizing that as who come from countries that have experienced war and who had to flee from war due to external invasion, I've reached a point where we settle for the bare minimum. So as long as we have peace, as long as there's no one attacking us, we can stay and figure out how life will sort itself. I was about to open up this video by a statement that could make most of you run. I was like, should I say the world need to pay attention to what is happening in America right now? Anyway, and then realized that that term has been used for different countries across the globe that haven't had a good history with America. And I was like, who really want to pay attention to this? But we care about you guys. We care about your safety, especially you guys who are calling out things, you guys who are standing up for the truth, you guys who are standing in support for humanity. We are standing with you, and we wish you all the best wherever you want to go around the world. You have the strongest passport in the world, so you guys are advantaged, you know, and we wish you all the best. And also learn the culture, immerse yourself in the culture, really leave everything that isn't good, that didn't please you in the country you are from. Leave it there so that you can form yourself a better life. So good luck, and God bless America. We hope for the best. This is a really critical time for this country. I love and appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's forward this conversation in the comment section. I'll be glad to read from you.